Hello. Is anybody watching? Find the events page. I'm on the camera right now. Babe, can you not talk to yourself in the background? Okay, hold on a sec. Let's see who else we got here. All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in and watching. What we're gonna do in this session, right now we're just waiting for Ryan to show up. Oh, are you there, Ryan?
I am here.
Oh, he's here. Perfect. Just in the nick of time.
Perfect.
So I think people are going to be filtering in over the next few minutes, hopefully. I did do this Saturday for the very first time, so we'll see if anybody shows up. But hopefully we got some good questions, and I've got some good questions anyway from people who have came in if nobody shows up. So either way, we're going to have a good time.
Sounds good. How is the Blueprint going so far? How's everybody enjoying it?
It's going great. We're getting some great feedback. People are loving your session. I think you've got some likes on your lesson, which is good.
Right on.
Yeah, it's going really great, and I think that people are going to enjoy it. So what we'll do here for real quick, I'll explain the format here, how to ask questions, because there's a little questions app here, and it might be hard to figure out how to ask the questions. We'll have you introduce yourself. You know, you have a bio on there, but you can give your own little introduction.
Sure.
And then we will get started.
Sounds good, man.
Cool. Yeah. So I wonder, so I'm trying to figure out if we should just kind of shoot the shit now and wait for a little bit, because it is kind of still a minute until 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on in your business? With the gateway method and all that sort of stuff? What's exciting to you right now?
Yeah, I'm doing good, right? What's exciting to me is we had sunny weather here today for the first time in like a month. I'm in Austin, Texas, and normally it's glorious here, but it was finally nice. We had like a month of rain, and so I got out to links. I got to play some golf today, so that was cool. But yeah, the gateway method is doing great. We've continuing to help people find their dream job with these purpose-driven companies, and just slowly but surely growing. So.
Gotcha. And let's we can dive into that in a second when we go through the introduction. But let me ask you this: is how did you get into this? How did you start getting people to help find their dream job?
Yeah, so it all started a few years back. I was actually, it must be like 5 years back now. I was in Hawaii for an event, and I saw my business partner, Andrew Hewitt, was on stage there. He was giving a presentation about the Game Changers 500. So I don't know if you have a link app, you can drop the Game Changers.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Showcase app right here.
Are you going to use this as a recording, by the way, for people in there as well, or?
Yes. Yeah, this will be a recording.
Cool.
So it's just GameChangers500.com, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so.
Let's see if it does it. I was having issues with earlier, but yeah. All right, cool. I think it's gonna work.
Cool.
All right. So anyway, yeah, Game Changers 500. You saw your business partner.
Yeah, so he was on stage giving a presentation, and I was a new grad at the time when I saw it, and it basically just blew my mind. I think a lot of people come out of school, and obviously the big question is what to do, but a lot of people are seeking that something fulfilling with a sense of purpose that that makes a difference in the world. Some people don't care what they do; they'll go and accept any job with any company, regardless of the social impact that company is making. But other people really want to go make an impact. And so what Andrew's talk was basically about was moving from this old game, where the old game is essentially profit at all cost, right, regardless of social and environmental impact, to the new game, which is applying your strengths to something, applying your strengths to a company's mission that you genuinely care about and are passionate about, that makes a difference in the world, basically.
Right.
So I connected with him afterwards. Turned out that he had a career course just sitting around. Like, he's so occupied with Game Changers 500 that he didn't have time to actually help people get jobs with him. He's involved on the business side, so it just was right up my alley. So I basically teamed up with him to bring the career side of it live, so that we could kind of tackle it on two fronts.
So let's back up here for a second. This is an interview, but I'm fascinated. I'm curious, and so I'm gonna ask the question anyway. Yeah. You said you connected with him afterwards, and a lot of people are going, "Wait, what? You just saw this guy speak on stage, and suddenly now you're talking to him, and how did that happen?" So can you dive into how you managed to take somebody who was speaking on stage? I'm sure after he got off stage, there were lots of people trying to talk to him, and yet you managed to form a business partnership with him. So how'd that work?
Yeah, great question. So it's being newly out of college, all I knew about networking as at events is that you go and you try to network. Like it's kind of just figured out. So I've learned some tips and tricks along the way. But what I did with Andrew was I basically just made a point of finding him afterwards. And everybody at this event, it was in Hawaii, so everybody's staying at the same hotel. And I think that I found him either by coincidence, walking around the hotel, and I just made a point of going up and saying hi. And many speakers are approachable and open to a chat. So, and it turns out Andrew actually went to the same university as me. So and I actually had one of my good friends in college actually interned for him at the Game Changers 500. So it was like a couple things that I could use to build rapport.
Okay.
And then actually, so the other cool thing that really helped me move forward there is that I actually got my dream job at that event as well. So Andrew was my second favorite speaker. My first favorite speaker was a guy named Robert Hirsch from the Elevation Group. He's like a multimillionaire business guy, so super successful entrepreneur. And I made a point of meeting him in a bar. He mentored me for 45 minutes, and it was just amazing. So I basically, the long story short is that I was just blown away from everything that he was doing. So I made a point of offering to work for free for him for 3 months. So I was like, if I work for this guy for 2 years, then I can do anything that I want afterwards, basically. So I need to do whatever I can to get his attention and get in. So followed up with him a ton, and went up just basically harassing him until he let me work for him, and he actually did pay me, which was great. But Andrew came on to work with us at the Elevation Group too for a little bit. They partnered up with the Game Changers partnered up with the Elevation Group for a little bit, and so I got to build the relationship there a little bit.
You almost created extra value by connecting your two connections you made at that event.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, so it's just funny how it all fell into place. I don't know if you've read The Alchemist or if you're a fan of that kind of.
Oh yes, I love that book.
Fantastic book, yeah. So just go ahead.
I was just gonna say I would add that into the showcase, but it would take a lot of searching to find the link. But yeah. All right. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna do a quick screen share, show people how to ask questions.
Sure.
I'll start out if nobody's asking questions with a few questions that we've gotten from the Facebook group and from the website and other places, and then we'll see if we get any live questions here. So hold on a second. Let's share this screen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm on the events page that everybody has been sent in their emails. I'm just going to click on Start, and hopefully, not that window. Hold on. Okay, so it's opening right now. It's going to open a link. Wait.
Might be too much for Google to handle.
Oh, there we go. I'm clicking the play button, not the start button. That's the issue I'm dealing with right here.
Cool.
So I click the play button. It's going to pop up this little doohickey right here. And there's going to be a lag here because Google Hangout is not instantaneous. But if you click up on this little 9 squares in the corner, you can click on the Q&A link.
Might be too much for Google to handle.
I'm clicking the play button, not the start button. That's what I'm issue. And so now we're getting some feedback. But you can see you have the questions right here. And you can type in your questions, and we will answer them. So if at any point anybody wants to do that, feel free to do that. There's this Ask a New Question button that you can use. But until then, I'm just going to paste some of the messages, some of the questions that we've already seen, we've already gotten. I know I have one of my students on here who would love to ask you some questions. He's been having some trouble finding really great organizations to work for, Ryan. So I know he's excited to talk to you.
Yeah, sounds good.
But let's start out. One of the things I saw, and I know you addressed this, but I'd in your lesson, and I'd love to dig into this more, is people were saying that, you know, one of the questions we had one of the reflection questions we had in the lesson was, you know, should work be an expression of who you are? And a lot of people were saying they just didn't think it was realistic. They might have been a very artsy person, but they couldn't. They were like, "There's no job. There's no artsy job that pays, you know, that really pays what I want to pay. There's no way to get money." So the question, I think, what distilling it down is, how can I find a job that expresses who I am while making enough money to survive?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great question, and that's.
So I'll let you start with that, and then I'll give my take on it, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Yeah, so that's a great question, and so yeah, I'll give you my perspective on it here. A short answer is that it's in time. It's going to take time, and it's going to take effort, and at the core of it all, I think, is that is that most people don't know what we want. You know, we think we know what we want, but it takes time to discover that. And you know, coming out of school, everybody's so excited, you know, to get their first job and everything. But you know, it's tough to just jump into something right away and hit it right on the head. You're gonna have to essentially. So the model I use and what I like comes from NLP. It's modeling, basically. Yeah. So you find something that works for other people, that is successful, that you think will work for you, and then you do it, and then you iterate and you fix from there. And so it's just a growth pattern. And the more effort and time that you put into discovering and digging into who you are at a deep level, like your strengths, your values, your passions, what kind of life you want to live, what kind of career, you know, people. It's like every single aspect of your life, which is not, you can't pin it down in one little test. It's not one little thing that you can, you know, it takes tons and tons of effort. And so the more that you dig into that, and the faster that you dig into that, in my opinion, the faster you'll get to that sweet spot where it's like you have your strengths, values, passions, income, and impact are the 5 things we talk about at the Gateway Method. So it's that sweet spot of getting those 5 things zoned in. And if you think that you can do that immediately without any soul searching, it's not going to happen, is my thought.
You know, it's funny you mentioned strength, values, passions. I don't know if you had a chance to look at my lesson for the same module, but I actually go through defining strengths, values, and passions,
Nice.
which is so it's awesome that we kind of have that can it's kind of converging on the same principles independently, which is awesome.
Yeah, totally. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so first of all, I think there's one of the things you touched on right at the beginning that I thought was great. And that I think it's important to notice is that there's different ways to go about approaching your job search. So the kind of impact, the way we do it in the course is very aligned with your thing. You find something that you're passionate about, and then you see if you can get paid for that thing. There's other equally valid ways to do it. You can look at things like effective altruism. These are people who will go and get the highest paying job that they could possibly stomach and then donate all their money to the most effective charity they can find.
I haven't heard of that before, but okay.
Yeah, so this is a completely different paradigm. It has nothing to do with something you enjoy, but it's very, very values driven in that you're saving so many lives. You're helping so many people by doing it.
Yeah.
There's people like Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs. Or the guys who wrote Fire Your Boss. And this thing is that work is not a place for enjoyment. Work is somewhere you go to make a living to be able to enjoy yourself outside of work.
Yeah.
And so you put on a positive attitude at work, and you don't make yourself miserable, but you're trying to you're just trying to do well enough at work to be able to enjoy yourself outside of work.
Yeah.
So there's different paradigms to go about it, and if truly the only thing you enjoy is making collages with Elvis's face on them, then maybe one of those paradigms are the best for you.
True.
But if you're not in that situation, if you're in a situation where possibly you have a lot of different strengths and a lot of different passions, and there is a way to kind of there are many different jobs that could fulfill those things, then I think one of the things you can do is starting with demand. So one of the ways I like to talk about a good job is the intersection of what you're good at, what you love, and what's in high demand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you start from what you love, then you might end up with a job that doesn't pay well. But if you start from the high demand, a great exercise is just go on Monster.com, look in your area, and search in industries that you kind of find interesting, and see what pops up a lot. And starting from there, you can then go into the other things we talked about in the lesson, doing informational interviews, figuring out if you really enjoy it. But if you start from the high demand, you're not going to get in a low-paying job because, by definition, high demand, jobs that are in high demand are going to be high-paying.
Yeah, it's true. Good point.
Yeah, so I think that's how I would answer it. All right, let's move on to the next question here. We got a question from Karen Weiner. How do you handle references when you don't have any that will sell you? Hold on. They've passed away, you had a bad relationship with them, the job was not a good match, and you didn't shine, etc. Okay. I guess I'll start with this one, and then you can give your takes on it.
Yeah, go for it.
So I think one of the disconnects here is that people think that this is a big problem is kind of the experience paradox. I don't have a job, I can't get experience. I don't have experience, I can't get a job. References are the same way. I don't have references, I can't get a job. I don't have a job, I can't get references. And the truth is that's kind of a false dichotomy because there's many other ways you can get references besides being employed.
Yeah.
You could help somebody for free. You could go to a nonprofit and volunteer for a month and get a reference from somebody you volunteered with. You could help a friend out using your skills from a job and get a reference from them. So I think one of the and we'll go over this later in the course, but one of the things you need to do is find people who desperately need help and offer to help them for free. And that's, I think, where you're going to get some of your biggest references. Why don't you go ahead and field that as well?
Yeah, those are all great points. Totally agree with everything. And you said that what I heard in there is that you said for whatever reason you weren't able to shine in your past experience, and so totally understandable. And the only thing I would add to what you said is that it would be to strategically find a position where you can shine, and do exactly what you said in terms of working for free. So and it goes back to getting clear on what your dream is first. So I would get clear on what it is that you want to do. Work backwards to strategically find a place where you can shine and add value to someone in someone's organization or someone's business, and genuinely help them out with something and shine. Make sure you show up and dominate, and then make sure you get the reference for it, and then you're moving forward. Forget the past, just start from now and do something awesome.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Cool. So it looks like we've got another one coming in right now, but while we're waiting on that one, let me go back to my little document here of some other questions that we had. Hold on. Okay. So we have a question here from somebody who says they watched the we have a lesson in this module about what motivates you and finding your motivation and finding a motivation that that's more than money and doing that. And we have somebody who says, I don't have any passions. I don't have anything that has ever really gotten me excited, ever really gotten me interested, and so I don't know how to start from my passion because I don't have any. How do I go about finding a job that I love? So I will let you start out with that, and then I'll give my take if I have anything to add.
Sounds good. Yeah. So it's a great question, and I think I like how Andrew puts this best, actually. And what he says is that inspiration has to be felt. So inspiration or passion has to be felt. So if you haven't found, like surely if you were to, let me back up here for a second. It has to be felt, which means that you have to go out and live and experience life. And that means that you're going to go out and you're going to try things and fail. But, if someone put a gun to your head and said, hey, what is one thing that, if you're going to die next week, I'll take away the gun example because we're now next week, so I guess they would have to return a week from now with a gun. If someone says I'm going to come back in a week and you have to do something that you love, kind of like the Fight Club thing.
Okay.
Everybody's seen Fight Club, but there's a Fight Club where they're out behind, it's like a grocery store or a gas station or something, and he's like, I'm going to kill you unless you go and do whatever, like follow your passion, find what you love. So it means some digging, it means some failures and experiences along the way, but that's all right. Just get out there and do something. And I saw a great quote not too long ago too, which said that typical entrepreneurs fail 3.8 times before they really hit it in big and succeed. And it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or a working professional. If you think that, okay, well, what if I have to try 3 different things before I get to that dream job that I really, really, really love? Each will get better along the way. But if I have to do 3 things, then okay, that's just how it is. So where do I start?
Yeah. Gotcha. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you need to go experiment and start with finding just one thing you enjoy and build from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just get out in the world and experience it and feel into it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I love that answer. So I'll give my kind of take on this. And I come at this from 2 different angles. One of the things I'll say is that people expect too much from their passions. So a lot of people I've talked to about this, they say, I expect a passion to be something where, I don't think about anything else and I can't help but not do it. There's all this flowery language and poetic thoughts about finding your passion, and you're so excited about it. The truth is, the people who have gotten to that point have gotten to that point through creating their passion. So you start out with, the criteria is very small. It's just got to be something you're good at and you enjoy. It doesn't have to be something earth-shattering that you forget about everything else and that you're compelled to do, and that an angel from heaven came down and was like, do this thing. If you have that, I am not knocking that. That is great. But I will say that a lot of the research into what people find enjoyable is things that they become really competent at, and they have good people around them, which is why I love your emphasis on purpose-driven organizations.
Mm.
So if you can just find something that you enjoy and that you are good at, then as you work to master your craft and as you make connections with great people around you, that's when you're going to start losing yourself. That's when you're going to find people you enjoy. If you can just lower your standards for a little bit, you're going to find yourself becoming more and more passionate over time. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two is exactly what you said. I like to break it down into physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Mm.
If those are kind of the four activities where you want to try and experiment. Physical, for some people that is doing yoga. For some people that's playing basketball. For some people it's hiking. And mental, for some people it's reading. For some people it's doing math. For some people it is philosophy, thinking real deeply about things. If you can go in and find those different four categories and experiment with those, you're going to start finding things you love. And from there, you can kind of work to match those up to your dream job.
Yeah, I agree. I think just to touch on your first point for a second too, a lot people confuse doing their passion or doing what they love with thinking that they're going to live in a state of bliss in their job every moment of every single day. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be challenging. There's going to be pain along the way. You're probably going to hate it sometimes. That doesn't mean that it's not your passion, though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right. Here's one we got from Chris Liu. All right. How do you find the ideal company or organization to work for? From my experiences, I have found that organizations that seem to be great, and then when you go out to do research or informational interviews, they turn out to be so-so. How do you find the one? I think this is a perfect question for you, so I'll just let you start out with that one.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a big one. So I have a resource actually that I can give you guys if you like. So the Game Changers 500 is one great place to look. I have another resource with like 14 different job sites. I can't remember what it is. I can give you the link.
So if you go onto the New Grad Blueprint website, you go under Ryan's lesson, which is I believe it's called Uncover Your Dream Job. No, it's called Discover Your Purpose.
Yeah.
So if you go onto his lesson, either at the end of the video when all those buttons pop up, or if you scroll down to the resource section, that's available there. So so continue. So if you want to find that, it's on his lesson.
Cool. Yeah. So where I was going with that is that a lot of people when they're looking for a job will start they'll do the whole Monster approach. Like they'll go look on Monster and they'll see what's in their area and their industry and their area of expertise. And then that might apply to whatever kind of catches their eye, or do a little bit of research on some sort of random company that they found out there. But in my experience, in my perspective, is that it's actually backwards to what you should do. You should start with your dream and your vision and what you want to do, and then work backwards from there. Find a company and then find a way to get their attention. So it kind of goes back to the belief of whether or not you can get a job. I think that's why people go to Monsters. Like, oh, just give me any job, give me some kind of job, and I'll find a cool company from there. But if you start with what you want, work backwards to say, here are 3 to 5 companies that I would absolutely love to work for. and then find a way to get their attention and apply to 3 to 5 companies. And if that doesn't work, apply to 5 more. Like, keep going, but start with really digging into what those companies are based on your passions and what drives you crazy. You know, I also talk a lot about, you know, about looking up companies based on what sort of problems in the world drive you crazy, or you know, what really pisses you off. You know, that's how I got into what I'm doing. I love the education side and online education specifically, because I really don't like the education system. It drives me nuts. A lot of aspects.
I agree completely. I agree completely.
Yeah, and so, you know, whatever it is for you that either drives you crazy or you know, it's often easier to think about something that drives you nuts than to say this is my passion, I think. Anyway, so if you start with what drives you crazy and then find 3 to 5 companies that are doing absolute best at solving that problem and adding value to people in the world, and then figuring out how to get their attention.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So I want to piggyback back off that. I think that the advice to work backwards, figure out what you want first, and then find a company to match up is I 100% agree with that. I also want to bring back something you said earlier, that not every part of your job is going to be sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
It goes with your company too. Not every part of your company is going to become sunshine and rainbows. Now, I happen to know Chris, and I know that he doesn't think this, but for other people watching, there is no such thing as the perfect company. Even the #1 company on the Game Changers 500, I'm sure there are people who left hating that organization, and I'm sure the people who love that organization still have gripes about it.
Yeah.
So I think that that one of the things here is figuring out how you can build your ideal situation within that organization. Figure out, you know, the best way to communicate with your boss, the best way. Figure out what department you want to be in, what coworkers you want to work with, to try and build up the best parts, and understand that you're never going to have the perfect situation.
Yeah, totally agree. There are no perfect humans. There are no perfect organizations.
Yeah. All right. It looks like we're just coming up on 5:30 right now. If anybody wants to have any last few questions that they want to post in the chat, do it right now. Otherwise, I'm going to give Ryan a chance to sign off to tell you guys a little bit more about where you can find out more about him and what he does, and then I'll do the same. So take it away, Ryan.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome hanging out with you here. And
yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much for coming, by the way. I love this. I love hearing different perspectives or similar perspectives, and I loved all your answers, so thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it, and love the whole New Grad Blueprint thing. That's great. So, yeah, I mean, if anybody wants just more information on specifically, I guess, how to find and get the attention of purpose-driven or for-benefit companies, where, you know, the focus is on the new game, where it's, you know, making an impact on the world as well as a profit, and you know, applying your strengths and values and passions to your work, then yeah, you can just check out thegatewaymethod.com, or like you said, the links in the New Grad Blueprint. Yeah, and I also write on career. I have tons of articles on career realism. I frequently write there, and so yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually how we got first connected, was an article on career realism.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so we do have one last question here. So if you have time, if you need to get going, that's fine. You can get going, but
one more, yeah.
One last one.
Yeah.
So I know it is important to do informational interviews to explore various kinds of jobs. I'm finding that when I request an informational interview from people, I'm not getting a good response. What could I be doing wrong? Okay, I'll start out with this one, because this is more geared towards what I talked about in my lesson.
Yeah, go for it.
So the first thing I would say is, just like Ryan, he's got resources in his section. I've got some great resources on this in my lesson. If you scroll down to the bottom and click informational interview templates, I have exactly the templates that you can use. So what those templates do differently from what you might naively expect to do, or what without any training you might do, is, first of all, they get very specific about why you would want to talk to that person. If you go up to somebody and say, I am looking to be a accountant, I would like to talk to you. This, from the perspective of a busy person, this is a waste of time for them. Because you could find out what it's like to be an accountant by Googling what it's like to be an accountant and reading the first 3 links that come up.
Yeah.
So what the person who wants to get these informational interview does is they Google what it's like to be an accountant, and they do all their research, and then they say, hey, I'd really like to know more about X, Y, and Z, and they say that specifically in their message. And this shows that you've done your research, that you're not going to be a waste of time, that you've already been proactive, and that you're really going to help them out. Second thing is try and find commonalities. You mentioned this when talking about Andrew from the Game Changers 500.
Yeah.
You were in the same school. You had a personal connection. Do some research on the person you're talking to and figure out what a personal connection you have to them. If you can't find any sort of personal connections to them, find something that they've done that you really admire and talk about that and say, hey, I really like this. That's how I came to know you. And then finally, I think the final thing here is to make it as easy as possible for them to say yes. So something someone I follow called Ramit Sethi does that I've adopted with my clients and really seems to work well is called the narrow wide technique. When you're setting a time and date and place for them, be very specific. Say, hey, can you meet Thursday at 5 p.m. at this coffee shop by your office? And what this allows them to do is rather than going to a calendar and back and forth and trying to set a date, they can either say yes or no. That's the narrow part. The wide part is at the end say, hey, if that doesn't work for you, I'm available anytime. I'm available anytime after 5 p.m. next week. So they're already in their calendar. They're already looking at that specific date, and then they can quickly just say, oh, that doesn't work for me, but this time does. So that's a really, besides the strategic things I talked about, that's a really tactical thing that can help out. So I'll let you answer, and then we'll sign off.
Yeah, cool. Those are all great points, and I don't have a whole lot to add because I think you got all the main things. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is just to keep it short and sweet, and because you're essentially asking the busy person for their time. So like the short and sweet is critical. Like if you can get it done in 3 sentences that are like boom, 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 that's the way to go. And just always remember that when they're busy and the whole what's in it for me thing. Like how can you add value to their life? And maybe you find out they love F1 or something just in your random research of them. You can make a little F1 joke in there, depending on the industry. But depending on what it is and who it is. But you can just add a little personal touch that adds value to their life in some small way.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, everybody who tuned in. I think maybe next time we'll try this on a weekday night. See if it works for you guys. You guys can tell me what time works for you. Again, thank you, Ryan, so much. That's thegatewaymethod.com. His stuff is awesome. I really love all the stuff he puts out. So please check it out. And I will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Cool. Thanks so much, man.